Hey guys.
Hello.
Hey guys.
Hey guys. Guess that's the thing.
That's the thing. You're a thing. Welcome to Power Marriage. My name is Pablo Marte and this is my beautiful wife.
Mariceli Maite.
Thank you for tuning into our channel
Yes, thank you for being here on a Sunday.
on a Sunday. So today we're going to face the truth. We got to get serious.
Okay. Is it your truth or my truth?
The truth.
Okay.
You can't handle the truth. Well, so today we're talking about facing the truth. Now, hopefully we can do this with a little laughter and have fun while we do it, right? Because
Okay.
it's a serious subject, right? Um, in our marriage, we had problems, like
You think?
a little bit of problems. We had problems in our marriage that it led pretty much to the brink of divorce, and it got to a point where my wife was sick and tired of
Of being sick and tired.
being sick and tired of the marriage being so crappy. So she kind of told me one day, said, "Hey, I think we need to get a divorce." And if there's any way to start a conversation when you don't want to have a conversation that makes you want to, or makes you stop and say, "Oh, this is serious here," I think it's, "Hey, I think we need to get a divorce."
I think it was like you came from work. It was maybe 10:30 at night.
Was it? Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. But those words made me, stop in my tracks and be like, "Whoa, whoa, is it that serious? Like, really?" Uh, so, so let's say you are in a situation where your marriage is not the best. Maybe you think it is, but it's actually, maybe it's not. Maybe you know it's not. Um, maybe here we'll go real quick through the list that we were looking
Yeah.
at real quick, and then we'll do some other stuff
Okay.
that we had planned. This is unplanned, planned.
Mm-hmm.
If you can kind of.
Yeah.
So we were looking at this, right, and it says a book that we're reading. We're not reading the clip, but there we go. The Best Marriage. We showed you this a couple of days ago.
Bookmark.
Yeah. So in this book, it says, right, what sort of mates are you and your partner, right? So like, what sort of
Yeah.
mates are we? And it says, are you roommates, sharing a home but having separate lives? Are you cellmates, stuck in a rut, joyless but with no hope of escape? At least until the kids fly the nest when you just might break up. Are you checkmates, a one-sided relationship in which one or the other has the upper hand and the other has to toe the line? Are you stalemates? No one is losing, but no one is winning because the relationship has grown stale. Or are you helpmates, equal partners in life's exciting adventure, coming to the rescue whenever needed? Right? So obviously, if you're not helpmates, if you're helpmates, then you're probably doing okay, and you're watching this because you know you're doing okay today, and tomorrow you may not. So you want to be ahead of the situation, right? Or you just want to get as much information as you can. Me and my wife, right? We do Power Marriage, but we have been working on our marriage for a while, and that's why you see us. We read books like this. I mean, I just ordered a couple of more books. I have one right here. Again, impromptu. That's the next one we're gonna read. I have another one over there. Two more on my nightstand that I still haven't read. But that next one right there is, we're gonna read that together as soon as we're done with this one. So if you are in any one of these relationships where you feel like you're roommates, cellmates, checkmates, or stalemates, not helpmates, if you're any of those, then you should get to the point where you have to face the truth,
Yeah.
right? And the truth could be, let's say that I myself have to stop and dig deep and think, why is my relationship so terrible? Why is it so bad? What did I do to make it this bad? right? She might have to stop and think the same way. Or it might be like in our case where my wife said, right, I think we need to get a divorce, and here is why. And then she told me. And at that point, I had to face the truth. And we were talking about this, and I think I talked about this on yesterday's video, where my wife says something or would say something to me, and I might get upset. Right, walk away, right? Just be upset, like I don't need to hear this. Who are you to be telling me this? You should, that kind of stuff, right? Don't judge me. That's
Yeah.
not. I don't think I ever said that, but to that point, right? And
I think you did.
I may have said that. Okay.
You're judging me.
Maybe I said that. Okay, but either way, you have to face the truth, and right, we talked yesterday about respecting your partner, your wife, your husband enough, because you marry them, because you pleaded that you were going to have, or you made a vow that, and a commitment and a covenant that you were going to be married forever, right? No matter what. So to be, let's say, strong enough, courageous enough to stand up and face the truth and say, well, let me see what she said, and let me dig deep and see if she has a point. And right, and many times she told me stuff, and I would be upset, and I'd be angry, and then I'd come back an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, maybe the next day, and I would say, and not that I left and come back the next day, but I'm just saying that, I let it marinate, and then be like, wait a minute, she has a point, right? Maybe there's been other times, I really can't remember any, that I would say she doesn't have a point, but mostly, right, she has a point, and we have to address this. So there are some situations, right?
Yep.
That if you are in any one of these situations, roommates, cellmates, checkmates, or stalemates, you need to dig deep and say, what did I do? What did I contribute? Again, maybe you come up with these things, or maybe your spouse tells you, this is what you're doing wrong, or this is what is bad with the relationship. We need to fix these things. So, you want to
Yep.
go ahead and tell us something?
I guess for a wife's point of view, like as well, we also have to face the truth. What are the things that maybe we've done in the marriage where, some of these facts, roommates, cellmates, checkmates, and stalemates. What are the things that we do to contribute to that type of, I don't know, stigma or something. I don't even.
How'd you get to that point?
Yeah, how do we get to that? So most of the things that I could remember must have been like, I don't need to ask permission from my husband to go anywhere, to do anything. He's not my father, so I could do whatever I want. So I just go out after hours, after work, hang out with the girls, and do whatever. No, I don't need to call him. I don't need to text him. When I get home, I get home. Go to the gym after work, and just stay there for hours. And from there, you go and go out for dinner, hang out, and come back home. And again, you don't need to communicate anything to your husband. Or maybe you don't feel like you need to cook. I don't need to cook for him. He cooks on his own. He doesn't cook for me, so why would I want to cook for him? Clean. If he doesn't clean, then I don't need to clean. Why do I have to do all of this stuff if he's not doing it? The other thing is, I don't need to communicate anything with my husband throughout the day. I've seen couples that they go out like for a whole entire day and they don't hear from each other. The next one is go out for long periods of time, and even probably not come back that same night and stay the next day and say, hey, I'm not gonna come back today, I'm gonna stay out with my friends. What is that? Shopping and not saying anything. Spending, just spending. Listening to the wrong advice. Sharing information to your girlfriends, and your girlfriends are telling you, well, you should do what we did, just do whatever you want. You don't need, if you don't want to stay in that relationship, you don't need to stay in that relationship. And sometimes it could be the opposite. It could be that the husbands are doing certain things and we become a doormat, and that person becomes a doormat that they receive and they receive and they don't know how to project, they don't know how to say something, they don't know how to speak because they're so afraid of the spouse. The attitude problem, you know, sometimes we create some attitudes, and if we never saw a good marriage in our own parents, we sometimes do the same thing we saw. And sometimes we don't see that role model in our own lives. You know, how can we find these role models in churches? Sometimes in church I don't see that. I still sometimes I see like some things in churches that marriages don't treat each other very well. They don't speak very well about each other. So where do you find, you know, help, or how do you, you know, how do you request, or how do you even ask, hey, I need help in my marriage because this is going on, and then you get the bad advice. You know, those are the things that I put down on my list, honey.
That's your list? Okay.
Yeah.
I made a little list too. This is how we were going to start the video. So, right, the husband, and some of these may even happen in our marriage, right? Like when I would come home from work, I worked in a call center, right? When we met, I was working in a call center. Eventually, I left that job, started another job in a call center. And, you know, I would come home and my excuse was, well, I talked all day on the phone. I don't want to talk. Right? I need to not talk for like 2 hours or whatever, or 3. And, you know, that'll turn to all night. And then, right, wake up the next morning, go to work, and same thing again. So just wouldn't talk, right? That was my excuse. All right, but sometimes the husband maybe comes home from work, right, and just wants to rest, wants to sit in front of the TV. Maybe they want to just play video games, right? And then, you know, that turns into from 1 hour to 2 to 4 to 6 hours, and, you know, all of a sudden it's time to take a shower and go to sleep, right? Because you got to get up to go to work the next day. Maybe the husband has, right, hobbies, and the hobbies are, you know, just things that, again, takes him away from his family, takes him away from the wife, and just things that he wants to do that, right, this is my hobby, this is what I do. You know, you knew that before we got married, or maybe you picked it up afterwards, but again, it's just something that you do alone. Maybe you go work out. You don't take your wife with you. You get out of work, you go straight to work out, or you come home after you unwind it for a while, or you sat down and watch TV, then you go work out. Maybe you go hang out with the buddies, right, and it's every other night you're out with your boys, you know. Maybe you do ministry, right? You do something good, but also you do it by yourself, right? Or you and the wife go do ministry, but, you know, you're in one area, she's in another area. Maybe you even take separate cars. You're not together. You know, you're not spending time together, even though you're at the same place doing ministry. You call it ministry together, but that's not together. You know, right? Maybe, again, you're fixing something around the house. So maybe you're even doing productive things, but again, you're doing something, and it's just that your alone time. You know, it's just like, I need to do this alone, right? You can't help me with this. This is what I do, right? You don't even know a hammer from a screwdriver or whatever, you know? So again, what are the things that as a husband, certain things that the husband does that leads to the marriage being at the point that they are, right? Either roommates, cellmates, checkmates, or stalemates. Right? And in our case, when we were headed for divorce, where do you think we were?
Oh, we were probably all of them. To be
You're right, yeah.
We were all of them. We were the roommate,
Yeah.
we were the cellmates,
Yeah.
and we were the checkmates. We were all of them.
Even the
and
stalemates.
stalemate, we were so stale.
Yeah.
Because we had all of it, you know. And I told them, I said, you're just you're my roommate. You come here, I feed you, I cook for you, but you don't say anything. You don't speak. And I think that night that he got home, I was like, we need to talk. And he's like, I don't feel good. I'm tired. I don't want to talk right now. I said, okay, you don't want to talk? Well, then I want a divorce. And that's how I got his attention. But yeah, we were all of those.
Yeah. So all those things you do, right? Whether the wife does, whether the husband does, whether you both do it, doesn't matter how you got there. But that's your marriage is stuck in one of these situations here, right? Where's there time for your spouse? Where do you have time to conversate? Where do you have time to have fun together, to laugh together, or go on dates together? It's things that you did when you were dating and courting, but you don't do that anymore. once you're married or once, you're living together and the responsibilities just seem like everything is about the responsibilities. Everything is about everything else except the marriage is not a priority. Uh, so I wrote down some things here that you can do together, but you know what? Well, maybe we'll leave that for later. We could say
Yeah.
what we did in our case. Again, everybody's not the same,
Yep.
but we know that it helped us for sure. Was that we were reading the Bible together. So we would read a chapter of the Bible, right? We used to have that verse of the day where it
Yeah.
comes on the Bible app. You got a verse of the day, and the verse, whatever the verse was, let's say it was John 3:16. So we get the verse, but we say, all right, so we're going to read John 3. Let's just read the whole chapter,
Yep.
And I remember even when we first started, and a couple of days in a row, we would get Psalm 119. I was like, man, that thing is long. I'm like, yeah, well, we said we're going to read the whole thing. And I remember a couple of times you would look like, let me see, like, let me scroll through all, that's long. Like, you got to go to work soon. And, because we were doing it in the morning before I go to work and before she went to work. But we sat through it and we started with first, all right, we're going to read, right? Either I'll read it or I'll read half and you read the other half. That's what we were doing. And that's it. We would read it, right? And then say goodbye, right? Have a good day.
Yep.
See you. Eventually it led to where, all right, now that we read it, I like this about it. This is, what did you like? What, what jumped out at you? What, and then we talked a little bit, right? Maybe we each said a sentence. And then later on, it led more to, hey, well, what do you think it's saying? What is this? What is that? We started having more conversations. And that led to reading other books together and, things like, again, I'll just keep showing you. I'm not promoting this book. I mean, it's not like we're not getting paid if you buy this book, but,
No.
we read marriage books because we want to be successful at marriage.
Yeah.
We know that we want this thing to work and we're doing everything we can to make it work. So that's the main thing that helped us. Then obviously, yes, we started having date nights and doing other things and talking about the Bible, reading it and little by little started communicating, and there we learned, we did research and learned and got help from other people on how to communicate, what are the different levels of communication, and then we're like, oh, well, we're stuck here on level 1 and level 2. How do we get out? How do we move on? And then, okay, right? And you mentioned that earlier, that, right? Some people, maybe they don't have the help in their church. Maybe, again, you're in that situation, and if you're over 18 years old and you're in that situation and you're married and you're a man and you're a husband, you have a responsibility to take care of your family, your wife, and your household. Oh, I'm shaking the camera. And if you're a wife, right, again, you're over 18, maybe you have kids in the house, it's still your responsibility to make sure that you take care of the home. Maybe you go and work, it's still your responsibility as an adult that you're half of the marriage, that you need to give good advice to your husband, right? You need to give good input into your marriage, and you need to make sure that your marriage is succeeding, even if the husband is not doing his part, right? And the husband, if you want your marriage to succeed and you think the wife is not doing her part, I still need to do my part. So there's resources you can get. Maybe you're not getting at a church. Maybe somebody didn't give you the idea, so you can have that victim mentality and say, right, I don't know. I wasn't taught. I didn't have good role models, right? And yes, that may be the case. You're right. But guess what? Now you're over 18. You're a man. You're a woman. Then go out there and read. Right?
For stuff.
Read. There's a lot of good information out there. And what do we say, right? You chew the meat and spit out the bones, right? There might be some stuff that might not be helpful or might not apply to you.
The Bible speaks about, lack of knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's our duty, it's our responsibility to, yes, like you said, it's sometimes
Find the knowledge, educate yourselves, get educated.
Don't get stuck in the victim mentality.
Don't just say I wasn't taught, and when you get to heaven, God's gonna say, you heard the gospel. I wasn't taught the gospel right. So they didn't sit down and explain it. They didn't break it down to me. They didn't. They didn't. It's not about they. It's about you. Did you accept Jesus Christ?
Yeah.
Did you accept His sacrifice? Do you have faith that He came, that the Word became flesh, and that the Word gave His life and died for your sins on the cross, so that your sins can be crucified on that cross? So you have faith and knowledge, and accept that sacrifice. So I think we talked a lot there.
Yeah, and this
Anything
is
else?
no, this is, and this is the process where a lot of people don't know the results of my husband. You know, this is who he's become. You know, he's become knowledgeable in the Word of God because he studies. He's been studying and reading, and I see that. That's the fruit. You know, because a tree that grows and doesn't bear fruit, there's an issue with that tree, correct? You got to start cutting pieces off just to see if new branches will come out.
Yeah, well, and I don't want to just read to know and talk and act like I'm smart.
No.
That's not what I'm trying to do. I try to read and try to apply it to my life and to my marriage.
And you gotta see that fruit. You know, you have to bear the fruit. You know, you have to be the example. So if you're trying to change, like we have been speaking about change, you got to see that fruit within your marriage, within your life, within everything that you do. We have to bear fruit. So imagine all that work that we're doing, but there's no fruit. What happens then?
Oh, that's how you know. That's how you test certain things, right? By their
Yeah.
fruit.
So
So, you know, you can sit there and say, yeah, I know Jesus and I accepted him into my heart. And what does that mean? You know, well, what does that mean? There's no fruit in your life. There's no, you know, you're over here mad all the time. You're yelling. You know, have a bad relationship with your spouse, right? You treat them like crap. Where's the fruit? You know the Bible left and right. Who else knows the Bible like that?
Satan.
He knows scriptures.
He knows scriptures.
He knows scriptures.
He knows how to speak tongues. He knows how to read the word. He actually studies us. That's the whole thing. That he knows our habits. He knows our dislikes. He knows what bothers us. He knows what we do and what we don't do. So he uses all of these things against us, against our marriages, or against our lives, or against everything that we do. So that's why it's important for us to face the truth in our marriage and the reality, you know, that if your spouse wants to speak about something in the marriage, listen, you know, take that time.
Yeah.
So,
All right, I guess it's time to go because our dog is over
Yeah,
there crying,
I see that
complaining.
now. Yeah.
Probably wants to go outside.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to ask a favor. Subscribe to our channel. If you like this video, if you stayed and you got to this point, then just
Yeah.
go ahead and click the subscribe button. Go ahead and hit the little thumbs up. There's like a thumbs like this and there's a thumbs like this. Ignore this one. Just,
Oh, well.
you know, click this thumb and leave us some comments.
Yeah. Have a good one, guys.
Thank you for watching.
Bye.
Bye, guys.